Good evening. Can you all hear me pretty good? Now I'm going to try not to bore you guys. You had all that good food back there. So, with all the information about the Office of Public Safety Accountability, I also have some of my staff here. They just had to come and support me. And I'm going to let them pass around some of our annual reports that we have in hard copy. So I love the introduction. Thank you very much for that. What I'll say is that it's a pleasure to be here. Now, I'm not really sure if I'm going to be able to follow the lead of the city attorney. That is a phenomenal woman, and she is a huge help to me and my office, and she always has been since I arrived here in the city in 2020. So much love to Miss Susanna, because Opsa couldn't do the things that it needs to do without her and all of her city attorneys that help us every day. Now, as far as my office, she said I've been with the city of Sacramento since 2020, right when COVID happened and right when George Floyd happened as well. So I came here during a very interesting time. And it continues to be interesting with all the things that go on, not only in the city, but also in the community and in our society as well. What you see behind me as far as the presentation for you all today, when I first saw this slide, I thought, oh, this recognizes, and it just, it's a description of what our office does. But there's one thing that I noticed that it doesn't encompass, and the one thing it doesn't encompass is representation. There's a lot of terms on this slide. Accountability is one of the big ones, but representation is something that's missing, and representation definitely matters. What I can say about that is throughout my career, and we've told my age when she gave my background, so I've hit 30 years this year in public safety, so it's been a long time, and I've been one of the first in a lot of different things throughout my career, especially choosing law enforcement. You don't see very many people who look like me and who has experience leading SWAT and some of the different critical incidents and situations that I've had to respond to and make decisions on as the executive. What I'll say is one of the things that really brings home about what representation means is I always remember my first community event as the first deputy chief in the city of Arlington, and it was a back to school event, and I'll try to set the scene for you all. So we are giving away in low income areas, the oldest and the lowest socioeconomic area in the city of Arlington, and these kids don't have the things that they need. So we like to provide everything that's on the list for their elementary and their middle schools. And so at a recreation center, our organization, our police department provides a time on Saturday where their parents can come pick up all the necessary school supplies. So I'm just standing there talking to a lot of the parents, and I get two little girls that come up to me with these big old afro puffs, and they pull on my little leg of my uniform pants, and I look down and she says, "Hi, that officer in the corner over there told me that you tell him what to do." And I looked down at her and I said, "Yes, I tell him what to do." She said, "Well, how many boys do you tell what to do?" I said, "I tell hundreds of boys what to do." She said, "I can't believe it." She looked at her older sister, and her older sister looked to be about maybe 9 or 10 years old, and her older sister looked at me and said, "So how long have you been telling boys what to do?" So the mother comes over and says, "I'm so sorry, Chief, that they're bothering you." I said, "Oh, no, they're not bothering me." I said, "They're just asking some pertinent questions about boys and girls." And I tell her, I said, "It's been years that I've told boys what to do here in this city." And she said, "Do you think when I grow up I can tell boys what to do too?" I said, "Yes, you can." She said, "Well, you know, school starts on Monday." She says, "And I'm going to be in kindergarten. Can I tell the boys what to do in my class?" I said, "You sure can." Now, I had to go back to work, and I told all my officers in briefing, I'm not sure what's going to happen in that kindergarten class because I may have started something. And then I told them, when you get grown and you get old as I am, you can tell your husband what to do too. Now, the mom thought that was hilarious. So I'll just tell you that it's very important for everyone in our society to see different people from different backgrounds with different experiences and different positions. It definitely means something. Yes, it's working. So this quote, accountability feels like an attack when you're not ready to acknowledge how your behavior harms others. Now this hits home with what we do in the Office of Public Safety Accountability, because a lot of times when we're looking over the shoulders of the Sacramento Police Department and the Sacramento Fire Department, it can feel like an attack, but it's not. Our core function and our core job is to help them become better. So we are one team, and our job is to look at what we're doing policy-wise, what we're doing practices, what we're doing in the field, and do better at it. The overall goal in Sacramento is to provide the best quality of life for all of our residents. The only way we do that is if we have multiple areas looking at different things at different times and providing a different perspective. There you have my office. That's our mission. I just covered that for you. It's long, but in the end, improvement is what we're seeking. That is the overall goal. We're not here to bash any organization. We're not here to bash individual public safety employees. We're here to see what is going on, what the patterns and trends are, and our mission is to develop strategies and work with them to improve how we carry out public safety here in Sacramento. Now we have a lot of duties, and you see that's very, very small print, but overall, each of the duties, the overall goal is for us to improve how we interact with public safety. Thank you. This here just shows that we do a multitude of things, and I'll break it down into two different areas. We provide investigations in which there are officer-involved shootings or serious injuries for the public. We do concurrent investigations for those, and that's what I would say is the investigation side of the Office of Public Safety Accountability. But we also have an oversight side. The oversight side is very busy because any allegations of misconduct that's filed for public safety employees for the fire department or the police department, it's our job to look through those and make sure that those investigations are conducted in a timely manner, they're very thorough, and they're free from bias. We want to make sure that we don't leave any rock unturned when you're looking at it. And the main goal when we talk about allegations of misconduct complaints, we want to ensure that the evidence involved in this situation matches the disposition associated with the case. That's the most important thing. And just a historical overview of this office. Although one of the biggest things that I found when I took on this position was that many of our residents didn't know that we existed, which is not a good thing. The Office of Public Safety Accountability was established in 1999. But I'm not really sure how many of you all knew that we existed prior to us being on the roster to come in and speak to you today. And that's one of the biggest, I would tell you, limitations of the office, and that's what we're working on to this day. Also, we were initially called the Office of Police Accountability. In 2004, the name changed because we added oversight for the Sacramento Fire Department because of issues that was within the organization. Therefore, we became the Office of Public Safety Accountability. Now, one of the biggest drawbacks I will say is that the office has been very small. But we were granted, and I tell you, I was very, very excited, but we were granted in 2020 additional full-time staff. And so although I arrived and I had a team of 2, I currently have a team of 11. Okay, so I'm very, very happy with that. So that means that all of the individuals that work within the office were handpicked by myself and help from the city attorney's, the city attorney's office helps us so much. The city auditor's office participated on us getting our staffing up to where we needed it to be. Now, one of the main things that changed with the additional staffing is that there was a lot of police reforms that Mayor Steinberg put into place in 2020. One of those was because of Senate Bill 1421, we added an Inspector General to our office. The Inspector General is the individual who conducts the investigations. What you could think of the Inspector General as is essentially almost a homicide investigator, but independent in the office where we are not a part of the police department or the fire department. So this individual was hired in 2021. And then this year I hired a deputy inspector general because of the workload, and he definitely needed some assistance. But what they do is they respond to any critical incident involving the police department and or the fire department, and they conduct a concurrent investigation alongside them to make sure that our decisions that we're making about things that happen, that we have all of the information. So not only do you get information when someone dies and law enforcement is involved, you get a report involving the district attorney's office, you get a report involving the police department, and then you also will have a report involving the Office of Public Safety Accountability. What you should have is a situation where any city manager is able to make the most informed decisions about what happened in that situation from all of the information provided in all those reports. And then I had to list out all my team members. Now you see some of them are here in the room. The assistant director for the Office of Public Safety Accountability is over here, and his name is Jody Johnson. And then we have, and we needed this individual so bad, we have a community engagement coordinator, and he's sitting in the back, and that is Joseph Gray. He's done a phenomenal job coming in and seeing where all of our weaknesses are and where our limitations are in regards to making sure our community understands who we are and what we do. That is something that I tell you I've been complaining to mayor and council about since I arrived. 2 people was not enough to get out in the community, especially in our less marginalized areas where we really need to work to rebuild trust that's missing with our public safety agencies. And here are the demographics of the office. So we've hired this 6 additional positions, and then we received 1 in 2020 as well. So we're a total of 11, and then this is what our demographics look like. We want to make sure that when we're interacting with community members in Sacramento, that our office is also representative of the community that we serve. Now the books, the hard copies that are being passed around, we have to do and publish annual reports for the police department and the fire department. What those books entail, and this is the first time, I believe 2022 was the first year we actually provided a hard copy that outlines all of the different things that we look at. So I'm just going to share a few statistics with you as far as annually what our office captures. And this up at the top, it shows you a comparison between 2017 and 2023 of all the different allegations of misconduct that we see. So just say, for example, you call in because you had an interaction with the police department and you want to file a complaint. Anyone who calls to file a complaint, whether they're calling into my office, whether they're filing it by online, by phone, whether you are contacting internal affairs in the police department or you're contacting professional standards in the fire department, we have to maintain and track those allegations and those complaints. So you may have 1 complaint, but in 1 complaint you may have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different allegations depending on what you're saying happened during that interaction. So I want to make sure you understand the differences between the allegations and then the actual complaint itself. A complaint can also have multiple officers attached to it, because if you went to, or if you were involved in an interaction and you're saying 1 officer was rude, 1 officer used excessive force, 1 officer cursed you out, all of those officers need to be attached to that complaint for the investigation to be thorough. And then this shows just a complaint comparison of what we received, and this is just for Sacramento Police Department. So each month, so monthly, quarterly, annually, my staff, especially my analyst, has to make sure that we are in line with the police department's analysts as well as the fire department's analysts to make sure the allegations and the numbers, they match. And then this breaks down all of the different allegations that there are and how many was received for the entire year of 2023. One of our biggest frustrations is that each year it takes quite a bit of time in order for the annual report to come out. So we are already into October of this year. The year ends December the 31st, and it'll take sometimes April or May for us to make sure that those numbers that we receive from the fire department and the police department are accurate before we can actually publish our annual report. We want to make sure that the information that we're providing to the public is accurate. This shows the discipline for the year as well. Now, the one thing about the Office of Public Safety Accountability, where the bar stops with us is once the investigation is complete, we've looked at the entire investigation and we agree with the disposition associated with that complaint, then our time ends with that complaint. We don't determine the discipline. We don't have any jurisdiction to tell what happens to the actual employee after the investigation is complete. The disposition, and just so in case anybody knows, they don't understand, the disposition is whether the case was sustained, not sustained, exonerated, or unfounded. And in our annual reports and our quarterly reports, we make sure that we provide the definitions, all of the different dispositions, so that everyone can have that when they're reading through the report. And this, again, published online as well, because it can be quite a bit of information. The same thing happens with the fire department. We look at all of the complaints that are received each year to see where we're headed. And so this shows the complaint comparison, and then this shows the allegation comparison. As you can tell, we get so many more complaints against the police department than we do the fire department. One of the things I noticed when I first took over was that we had the ability to look at every allegation of misconduct involving the fire department. We did not have the staffing to do it for the police department. Now, with the staffing increase, that is one of the biggest weaknesses that we're going to be able to turn to a strength, because soon I'll have all of my investigators out of training, and then we will look at every single allegation of misconduct for police. We started looking at every allegation of misconduct in November of 2020 for the fire department. I needed additional resources for the police department. So where we're missing out at is that we weren't able to determine what the trends or what the patterns are as far as the different things that people are saying that they're experiencing in the street, because we only look at so much. So this is one of the things that we're looking forward to for 2025, is that we'll see and read every single thing that comes in so we can better help them perform better in the field. And then this just shows the breakdown as well for the fire department. And there's a lot of stats in the annual reports that's being passed around, and I did not want to bore you all with all those stats. You've been sitting here for quite a while. And then the main thing that I wanted to get across when I came in and restructured this office was not only to talk about the statistics, because Opsa has always for years provided what the allegations and what the complaints are for both public safety agencies, but what does Opsa do is very important. And so we provide a lot of information as well as showing what we do. So as you can see, that orange circle is 100%. That's from what I just advised, that we look at every single thing that comes in on the fire side. On the police side, you see where it says reviewed 39% and not reviewed 61%. The new staffing is what's going to help us review that 61% moving forward into 2025. Very important for us, helping in how we perform better. And then this just shows the critical incidents that the Inspector General responded to for the year of 2023. And there were 5 officer-involved shootings, or actually 4 for 2023. And then it also shows you the status of those. Now, in addition to responding to critical incidents, when a critical incident doesn't occur, because that's one thing that we never know. It's very difficult to determine when something will happen, and we have to respond in the field. It could happen any day, at any time. But in between those times, the Inspector General and the Deputy Inspector General are responsible for case review as well. And that just shows what portion of the cases that the Inspector General reviewed. One of the biggest things that we do is provide annual recommendations for the police department and the fire department. The books that's being passed around is pretty thick. One of the differences in this book was an audit. The city attorney talked about it as well earlier. We conducted an audit, and we were looking at improper search and seizure violations. And so the entire audit is a part of the annual report, but the most important thing is that the recommendations that came out of the audit involving search and seizure were all adopted by mayor and council, and the police department was directed to implement every single recommendation from the audit that the Office of Public Safety Accountability conducted. And so that was one of the biggest highlights for 2023, was the recommendations for that. And then this just shows the recommendations that are ongoing for the fire department as well. And that's just a brief summary of what the Office of Public Safety Accountability does. And now if someone wants more detailed information or has a question about something they didn't understand, I'm here for you. Thank you.